Hi guys, it's Aoife from Fredby's Dead Laughing and I'm here with a book review today. So I'm going to just do a quick review of Tell the Wind and Fire by Rees Brennan. I was lucky enough to get a copy of this from NetGalley to review, and it's actually out on sale on April 5th, which is this week, so pretty soon. And yeah, so this is a retelling of A Tale of Two Cities, but it's set in kind of an alternate version of New York, and New York has been split into two parts, a light part and a dark part. And the light magicians live in the light part and the dark magicians live in the dark part. But the light magicians kind of rule over the dark magicians, and the dark magicians are kind of treated very badly, even though both magicians need each other to survive. And Lucy grew up in the dark section. She was born in the dark section, but she's actually a light magician, and through a series of circumstances she has found herself living in the light city with her father, who kind of is suffering from PTSD, and she's kind of a celebrity of sorts because of the circumstances that have caused her to move from the dark to the light. And she is going out with the son of a very powerful light magician called Ethan. And one day they are travelling on the train and Ethan's life is threatened, and out of nowhere this boy called Carwin appears and saves their lives, and it turns out that Carwin is Ethan's doppelganger. And doppelgangers are actually illegal, and they're formed when a magician is almost going to die, and dark magic is used to save their life. And because of this dark magic, this doppelganger is formed, and this happened with Ethan, and Carwin was formed. And Lucy kind of starts getting to know Carwin, and then a revolution kind of starts to spark within the dark part of the city, and the dark magicians are kind of rising up against the light, and all this stuff happens, and Lucy and Ethan and Carwin are kind of just in the middle of it, trying to survive. And that's how this kind of starts off. So Rees Brennan is one of my favourite authors, and I knew that I was going to have to read this book as soon as it came out, and I've read both of her other trilogies, which I loved, but for this one I was a little bit apprehensive about it because it is a retelling of A Tale of Two Cities, and A Tale of Two Cities is actually one of the very, very few books that I found that I couldn't finish. I think it was just the writing in it, in the original classic by Charles Dickens, that I just didn't get on with it, and I had to kind of put it down after a while. And I ended up knowing the story. I kind of looked it up and knew what had happened because I did enjoy the story. It was just the writing just didn't agree with me. I think eventually I will try it again, but for this I haven't yet. So I was a little bit apprehensive, and I had read an excerpt on Rees Brennan's blog of the book as well, and I'd been a bit confused about the whole light magic, using rings and the light magicians and dark magicians and stuff like that. But I really quickly kind of got the hang of it about the magic. There's not that much magic actually in the book itself that's actually done. It's basically more just being explained by Lucy, who's kind of the main character. She kind of explains what's been going on, the history, all that kind of stuff. So it was very easy to follow on, much easier than I thought it would be, because I had been a little bit nervous about that, but it was pretty interesting in the end. You can definitely see the parallels between Tell the Wind and Fire and A Tale of Two Cities now and again. It's just really, really strong. So I think that if people really enjoyed A Tale of Two Cities, that they would enjoy these very strong parallels between the two, and enjoying to see where kind of the inspiration came from and that kind of thing. Because even for me, having not read the whole book, I could still see it very, very strongly in different parts of the book itself. Lucy as a character was pretty interesting because she's not this heroine. She isn't really like a Katniss Everdeen who rises up and is the Mockingjay. She is very content to kind of stay back and just agree with what everyone else says, and not put herself or her father in danger, and not put people she loves in danger. She's actually kind of pretty okay with sitting back and kind of letting the whole world kind of fight on and do their own fighting, for her not to really get involved. And as a character, that's pretty interesting, because I think a lot of characters we see in these kind of books, they're generally kind of, they do rise up and they do, you know, become a big saviour, and for most part Lucy didn't do that. But while there was a part of me that almost didn't want to like her because of that, because, you know, it can be seen as weak, and she was a little bit, you know, bland at times because of it. There's another part of me that really respected her, and, you know, I really understood her struggle, the way she talked about it, how she needed to be there for her father, who was obviously mentally ill, and you know, she couldn't risk doing anything to hurt him, and that's why she had to be the way she was, even though it was a struggle every single day to keep herself together and pretend everything was okay in front of her boyfriend Ethan, in front of his family, and in front of everyone else and her friends. Even though she knew what it was like to live in a dark city where, you know, food is pretty bad, people are treated really badly, terrible things happen, people are tortured, and she has to kind of just swallow all that down and pretend that it doesn't affect her. So there was a part of me that really kind of felt for her for that, and, you know, kind of admired her for being able to just struggle through it as well. I really loved Carwin. I think he was probably my favourite character in the whole book. He's just really interesting. He's a creature made of darkness, so he feels that he is darkness, that there's nothing good about him, that he doesn't have feelings. Like, the whole point of doppelgangers, people believe that they don't have a soul, they don't have any rights, they're treated as like basically nothing, like dirt on their shoe. People don't let them into restaurants, even though they're like human beings, they look like human beings. People don't let them into restaurants, they won't let them into certain establishments, they'll ignore them until they go away. They're treated just so badly, and because of this, Carwin has kind of believes himself to be bad and believes himself not to have a heart or a soul or emotions or feelings about anything. And now and again you see this glimmer of goodness come through with him, especially when he's with Lucy, and I just really love that. And I think if people loved the Grisha trilogy and they had a little bit of a thing for the Darkling, which I know a lot of people do when they've read the Grisha trilogy, I think they will like Carwin, because he's almost like another version of this dark being. But with Carwin, he isn't succumbed to the darkness. He's kind of using it as an excuse, but at the same time you can see parts from breaking free from this darkness and being the person that he is really underneath, where he is quite good. And I just really love that. One of my favourite quotes from this book is something that Carwin said to Lucy, and I just think it's so cute and I just really want to share it. And it's, "I know there's nothing between us, and there never could be, but I would do whatever you asked. I would do anything you want. If I had anything worth giving to you, I would give it. If I had anything to sacrifice, I would sacrifice it for you." And I think that kind of shows Carwin's goodness coming through, and his own inner struggle to either be this dark person or be someone who Lucy kind of sees him as, this person who is capable of goodness and capable of feeling and emotion. And yeah, that struggle, seeing Carwin struggle with that throughout the book, is very interesting to read and to kind of follow along with. The few problems I did have with this book mainly is with the world building. I know how Sarah Rees Brennan, you know, because I've read all of her other books, so she did some really great world building in specifically her Lindburn Legacy series, where, you know, you have this village and it has all this very deep, rich history, and you do find that out throughout the 3 books. But with this book, you're just being told about New York and how New York is split into, you know, these 2 different parts, and these terrible things are happening in this city. But at the same time, I can't help but, well, what about the rest of the world? It's almost as if like this place just exists by itself. There's no other places around it, there's no other places, like it's just like this floating entity in the middle of nowhere. So I kept thinking, like, what about the other places in America? What, like, is there any magic in there? You know, can these magicians travel to other places? Do they coexist in these other places, or is it just in New York where they're split up? You know, how does the rest of the world feel about the very harsh methods and torture that is used in this part of New York? Like, how are people okay with that? How is there not kind of uprisings against this with normal people, you know, being treated so badly? And, you know, I think I would have liked a little bit more expansion on that, because it just seemed a little bit kind of hard to believe that, like, nowhere else would be aware of what's going on. And, you know, are these just magicians just stuck in this one place? Can they not go anywhere else? So yeah, that's kind of the problems I had with it. And then the ending overall kind of disappointed me. For me personally, I like a little bit more of a conclusion, kind of a little bit more of people getting their comeuppance, and I just felt with this I didn't quite get it. I would have liked a little bit more of, you know, that feeling of, yeah, they got what they deserved, and I just don't think I really got that. But overall I did enjoy it. I love the sassiness that came through with a lot of characters that, you know, I do associate with Brennan's writing. I see it in a lot of her other books. she has this great way of like joking around, the characters joking around, and they are like genuinely funny jokes and genuinely funny one-liners, and the sassiness and the kind of attitudes coming through, and I really love that. I always love reading those in her books, because I know there's going to be one character that's going to be really sassy, so I really enjoyed that. And I think overall the magic system was really great. I would love maybe some more stories in this world, maybe some short stories or something, or novellas. I don't know, but I would like love to keep going with it. And as far as I know, this is a standalone. I don't think it's a trilogy, but I could be wrong. But if there were any more books, I would be delighted. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Overall, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, just because those little two things did niggle me a bit, so I couldn't give it a 5 stars, so I did give it a 4 stars overall. But overall, I really enjoyed it, and I think if people love A Tale of Two Cities, they want a magical, retelling of A Tale of Two Cities, this is a really great one to read. And yeah, so I hope you guys pick up the book when it comes out. I do really recommend it for people who do like YA and do like fantasy and magic and stuff like that. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time.